So we're starting a new quarterly today, which they were late getting up online if you actually get your quarterlies from the online resource. But we're going to be studying the book of Job over the next 13 weeks. The story of Job's pretty well known. Even people who are not necessarily familiar with the Bible or Christianity probably know the story of Job. We kind of use him as a benchmark when we're evaluating what other folks are going through. If you see someone experiencing one hardship or trial after another, we equate them to Job. Or if we see somebody who's particularly long-suffering or patient, we say they have the patience of Job. What comes to your mind when you think of Job, the man or his story? What do you think of?
How faithful he was. I mean, he was faithful to God regardless of what happened to him.
Right. Before and after. Mm-hmm. Before, during, and after. What else?
Questioning God isn't necessarily wrong. That you can question, you can feel concerned, you can express everything you think to God, and God will respond. But I noticed in God's response, he never does say that Satan did all this.
Correct.
That's the thing that really surprised me about his response. Obviously, we know because the book is written showing us that Satan did that. But at the time this story was happening, when God finally did respond to Job, he did not blame Satan for it. Right. Or anything. He just said, this is who I am. Get to know me.
Right. And I actually think that the questioning and the wrestling is critical. And even the quarterly, we'll talk about this if we have time. The quarterly surprised me with coming out that this is part of what began or was the catalyst for the change in Job, because his heart was still changed, his character was still grown and matured during the suffering, and some of that came from the questioning of God. Teresa.
I kind of think of the end times because Job went through so many trials. He lost his family, mm-hmm. He lost all of his riches, he lost everything. And he's stuck by God, and I know that that's what we will be facing. But in the end, God showed his glory.
Yeah.
And gave Job back an abundance more than he ever had before that.
Right.
So I think it's kind of a testimony to us to know that we just have to hold on. No matter what we go through, we have to hold on, we have to have faith, and we have to cling to Jesus.
Nice. So, this has always been kind of a tough book in the Bible for me. Not sure if I'm the only one. Some actually think that the book is fiction, or it's a parable similar to the Good Samaritan. And even the chronology of when the book was written and when it took place versus where it's placed in the sequence of books in the Old Testament, that's even weird to me. But there is significant evidence that Job actually lived somewhere between 1710 and 1500 before Christ. And archaeology has shown that all the geographical and historical details in the book are accurate and reliable. The book of Job is the only one written in the Old Hebrew language among all the biblical scrolls that were found, besides the books of Moses. So it was written in the same language as the books of Moses, and Moses is believed to be the author of the book of Job. But I think without the great controversy perspective that I have now, I completely understand how easy it might be to misunderstand or misconstrue what goes on in the book of Job.